Right now on the National Weather Desk, stormy weather. From rain in the northeast to snow in the plains, Mother Nature is making it more difficult to get where you are going.
There's a lot of power lines that are down. It's going to take a long time to put those back up.
Hikers stranded in this week's blizzard are rescued thanks to a feature on their iPhone.
It's entirely a game changer. It's a really cool resource.
Cold temperatures in Florida this weekend could be great news for manatee fans.
We're expecting a lot more manatees to come into our outflow.
Electric vehicle owners take note. Hear how cold weather could impact your car's battery.
Understanding that driving range could be impacted by those lower temperatures out there.
Plus, how fog can benefit plants and animals.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie. Cleanup is underway in the northern plains as blizzard conditions have finally pushed out of the region. The snow and wind took a toll on the area, especially the Dakotas. More than 17,000 customers are without power in North Dakota this morning. As Reed Binion explains, getting the lights back on will take some time.
You have new problems that arise. So we'll fix one area and another problem shows up.
Crews from no less than 8 power companies are still working to restore electricity in parts of North Dakota and Minnesota after a Christmas week ice storm toppled hundreds of power poles there.
There's a lot of power lines that are down. It's going to take a long time to put those back up. So time, it's going to take a lot more time than we originally thought.
For some customers, the lights may not be on again until this weekend. For others, it might not be until next week.
Our entire crews have been out working. We have a lot of support staff out there doing assessments, so it's really unknown at this point how long it will take to restore all of the members.
Meanwhile, in South Dakota, snow cleanup is underway after the winter wallop created hazardous road conditions this week. Colorado also getting hit with a wintry blast that made road travel treacherous. The severe winter weather that swept across the plains, upper Midwest, and up into the Northeast is also adding to air travel headaches during one of the year's busiest weeks.
Rain is still falling in the northeast this morning, including here in Philadelphia. Nearly 2 inches have fallen so far. Daily records were set at airports in Baltimore and Washington, D.C. Flood watches and warnings are still posted for portions of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, but the storm is pulling away and heading into New England. In the Pacific Northwest, the story yesterday was the wind. Thousands of people lost power as strong winds toppled power lines north of Seattle. Roads were blocked off as crews worked to fix those power lines damaged by trees and tree limbs. It's not unusual for these winds to blow through neighborhoods this time of year. Most of the power was restored by the end of the day. Well, high surf warnings remain in effect for much of the West Coast today. NOAA says waves of 25 to 35 feet are possible, with waves surging over jetties and into normally dry areas. As Gold Meadows reports, officials are urging people to stay away from the water today.
When we have storms moving across the Pacific, there's wind blowing in the direction. It creates a ripple on the water. And as that ripple travels, as the wind travels, there's potential for that ripple to grow. The open ocean is a lot deeper than near the beach. So when it goes from that deep water to that shallow water, it tends to pitch up and get even bigger. And that's what causes our surf.
Beaches throughout Coos, Curry, and Douglas counties are at risk of the high waves. Forecasters warn beachgoers that even if parts of the beach look dry, it could be that a big wave just hasn't hit yet. Jensen says in Oregon, the highest weather-related fatalities are due to beach hazards.
High surf or drownings, or what we call on the West Coast sneaker waves. And here in Oregon, our water is incredibly cold and very turbulent. There's strong currents, and this water that rushes up can be strong enough to knock someone off their feet and drag them into the water. So most of the fatalities that we have actually comes from hypothermia.
Those fatalities, she says, are most often among visitors who aren't familiar with the beach hazards during high surf warnings, particularly those navigating the jetties.
The beaches have logs littered, and those can roll with the water. If you are walking on the beach, to never turn your back to the ocean. In times with high surf like now, to not climb on the rocks or jetties. If there's a log on the beach, don't sit on it or walk in front of it.
The high surf warning is expected to run through 10 p.m. Thursday.
On the highway earlier this week, an ambulance was parked helping a driver of a car that had slid off the road. Now watch as an oncoming truck lost control on the ice, first slamming into the state trooper's SUV and then into the ambulance. The crash was captured on an officer's body camera. Now remarkably, no one was injured, but the truck driver was cited for careless driving. Well, 3 people hiking in Colorado needed to be rescued during this week's blizzard. They got stuck in an area with no cell service. But as Rob Harris explains, a search and rescue team was able to find them thanks to the SOS feature on their iPhone.
At around 6:30 in the evening, they got a call from the Gilpin County Sheriff's Office.
So they're like, hey, stuck Tacoma. We don't know what's going on. We just know that people are stuck.
The sheriff's office was short on details because the stranded travelers were stuck in Miners Gulch, past Blackhawk, a spot with no cell service. No calls could be made, but they were able to send an SOS from their iPhone to the closest emergency responders.
So, pro of the iPhone, we found out they needed help. Con, you don't necessarily get all the information. So we weren't sure how many people were out there. We weren't sure if they had animals with them.
It took the search and rescue team nearly 3 hours to reach the 3 stranded travelers who were visiting from Massachusetts and struggling with the snow and the high altitude.
It's nighttime. They'd been out there for several hours. One of the parties had starting symptoms of altitude sickness, so we were pretty concerned about that. They're digging, they're trying. It's a stock Tacoma, doesn't have enough clearance. Stress, right? Panic sets in.
The Colorado 4x4 team was able to get the stranded travelers out to safety, but the team is equipped with gear and satellite communications devices, tools they don't expect most travelers to have. And that's why they're so thankful that our smartphones are becoming more and more capable.
It's entirely a game changer. It's a really cool resource that people haven't, this is one of the few that we've had using the panic on the phone so far.
Well, temperatures are expected to plunge this weekend across the south. The mercury could dip below freezing in parts of Georgia, Alabama, and even northern Florida. While Floridians may not like that, it's good news for those looking to see manatees. Colder temperatures push the sea cows into warmer water, like those near Manatee Lagoon. Amber Robb is there with more.
Florida's beloved sea cow is a sight to see, bringing people from near and far to hopefully catch a glimpse.
Looking so cute and lovely. They're like giant swimming rocks with cute little faces.
This weekend, temperatures are expected to be in the low 50s and 60s, which means our waters will also be a little cooler. Dr. Zach Judd with the Florida Oceanographic Society says for hundreds of years, when waters get cold, the manatees go searching for a place to warm up.
They would either migrate into rivers where there are warm springs, or they'd migrate south to thermal refuges where the water's just naturally a little bit warmer.
But now we have power plants all over that release warm water, just like Riviera Beach's FPL plant.
The manatees flock to those unnatural overwintering sites.
And when cold fronts like the one we're expecting come through, you can expect to see an influx of the large creatures at places like Manatee Lagoon, which is right next to FPL's power plant.
Right before the holiday, we did have almost 30 manatees when the weather was cooler. It's since warmed up, but we are expecting colder temperatures later this week, so we're expecting a lot more manatees to come into our outflow.
Last week, manatees started migrating as the water temperatures dropped into the low 70s. This is the only large gathering we've seen so far this year. Dr. Judd says over the last 3 years in the Sunshine State, we've seen a major loss of manatees. But this year, things are looking better.
It seems like we've dodged some of that. There haven't been as many manatee deaths, and part of that is because there just aren't as many manatees left in our state.
All right, check this out. A plane is struggling to land in London yesterday. As the American Airlines 777 approaches the Heathrow Airport runway, nearly 80-mile-per-hour winds suddenly cause it to tilt, with its left wing pointing towards the ground. Now, thankfully, the plane landed safely. The winds were part of a storm that damaged homes and brought heavy snow and flooding to northern England and Scotland. Well, coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll head to Michigan to find out why this year's winter is off to such a slow start.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn with a look at the Northeast. We have some rain out there for a good part of southern New England up through northern New England as we head through the daytime today. Maybe some heavy rainfall during the morning hours. This moves on up into areas like Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire as well. And then we are going to possibly end as some light snow and mix as you head over towards Maine and parts of northern New England for the day on Friday. Temperatures today topping out in the 40s to lower 50s for most.
Hey everyone, I'm Wyatt Everhart. Let's get a check on that forecast. And after so much rain through the day on Wednesday into Wednesday night, this Thursday morning, we're talking about just a little residual fog and mist, and that breaking up and clearing out as we go into the afternoon. Low pressure area moving well away from Maryland, allowing for better weather to take hold Thursday into Thursday night and even into early Friday around here. By the way, temperatures will respond to that clearing sky on this Thursday afternoon. A good chance to get to 60 degrees by the end of the day.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. Here's a look at your forecast highs for the day. Nashville, 42 degrees, a cool 49 in Birmingham, 52 in Atlanta, 60 Raleigh. Looking at Jacksonville, about 63 degrees, 68 West Palm. Looks like that cold front is bringing those temperatures down across the air. We'll get some clearing skies behind the front, but over parts of Florida, looking at rain as we see the front push through. You can see plenty of sunshine in Atlanta, but it's cool sunshine. We'll see the showers make their way out of the state of Florida as we continue to see some breaks in the clouds. A cool weekend setting up over the southeast.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, in China, Beijing has recorded its longest cold wave in modern history. Residents of the mega city are struggling to stay warm, and power plants throughout the country are on overdrive to heat up homes. Mark Stewart has the story.
China's been shivering through bitter and biting cold.
I think it's the coldest winter in the past 20 years.
For around 2 weeks, the Chinese capital has seen sub-zero temps, the longest cold snap here since records began in 1951.
The temperature is very, very low, you know. I have to wear this kind of clothes to this weather.
By bike and by foot, it's a struggle to stay warm in this megacity. This is what's known as a hutong, a collection of small homes and narrow streets, very typical here in downtown Beijing. But many lack central heating, and that can be challenging and expensive when the temperatures take a plunge. This man showed us his home and how he keeps warm.
We use electric heating.
Even though the government helps to pay the bill, for some families it can still be a lot.
Frankly speaking, this is not as good as the high-rise, which has 24-hour central heating, but it's not too cold here right now either.
The Arctic chill has been felt far beyond Beijing. Across the country, coal-powered plants have been on full drive to warm up homes.
Yet problems at a plant in central China force heating in one city to be temporarily cut. And in northwest China, the weather got in the way of rescue efforts after last week's deadly earthquake. Residents in the quake zone set bonfires to get warm. A burning stove and a bowl of warm noodles, enough to comfort these children. Back in Beijing, the forecast is for the cold wave to pass, making tasks in the city of more than 20 million people a bit more tolerable.
Michigan is known for its wintry weather, and many people there depend on it to make their living. But this year, there's been a lack of snow. Meteorologist Trevor Robideau looks at what happened to all that snow.
When you think of winter in Michigan, it's likely snow is one of the first thoughts that come to mind. A year ago, we had a blizzard that covered the ground with over a foot of snow in many areas, leaving no doubt that winter had arrived.
Typically across northern Michigan, we have several inches of snow on the ground on Christmas Day. So between Traverse City or Gaylord, usually we have around 5 inches. But looking up at the Sioux, we have just over 10 inches.
But this year, after a seemingly quick start to snow in late November, we've come to a screeching halt, giving us a green Christmas and temperatures in the 50s in some areas around northern Michigan.
Looking at the numbers, you might be thinking that's pretty warm, and you'd be exactly right. And some areas may even rival their record high numbers.
And this leaves one big question for many around the state of Michigan. What does the long-range forecast look like?
Looking at the next several months as a whole, it's likely that we continue the warmer than average and drier than average trends that we've been seeing so far this winter.
This is due to something that meteorologists and climatologists know as El Nino. In normal conditions, trade winds move westward towards a warm pool of water east of Australia and Indonesia. During El Nino, this warmer pool of water shifts eastward towards the central and eastern Pacific. This causes rising air to occur over the newly located warm body of water. This causes the normal northern jet stream to shift more northward. For us in Michigan, this means warmer and drier conditions on average.
Electric cars are becoming more popular, but cold temperatures can impact how efficient those vehicles can be. Meteorologist Jordan Evans explains.
In 2018 and 2019, AAA looked at 5 different EV models and operated them outside at 20 degrees Fahrenheit while running the HVAC system, and reported an average 41% decrease in driving range.
To put that another way, instead of being able to go 100 miles like you expected, you'd probably really only be able to go 59 miles.
As technology improves, more recent research shows the average electric vehicle now loses about 30% driving range during the winter. All in all, you'll want to plan ahead for hitting the road in an electric vehicle, especially if a winter storm impacts your route.
Maybe I'm going to run to the convenience store around the corner and come right back. I'm not going to run my 8 or 9 mile errand where it's going to take me 3 or 4 hours when that storm could be moving through. All important decisions out there to make, understanding that driving range could be impacted by those lower temperatures out there.
Studies suggest that most driving range is lost due to running the HVAC and keeping the cabin warm. Using seat warmers, a heated steering wheel, and turning down the cabin heater will give you more battery to travel.
On a day-to-day basis, if you're starting out, it's a cold morning, maybe there's some snow coming down outside, maybe it's precipitation. Preheating that vehicle while it's still going in that charging mode and getting it warm inside and the vehicle warmed up, I think that can help you avoid some of the heating usage of that battery and getting the car up to a comfortable temperature there.
Well, when it comes to allergies, many people think they're seasonal, caused by allergens like pollen in the spring or ragweed in the fall. But allergies can be triggered year-round, most likely caused by indoor allergies, as colder temperatures send people inside. Mandy Gaither has more.
Just when you thought you could breathe easier, those allergies get triggered once again.
Wintertime allergies can be related to the indoor allergens, which include dust mites, cockroach, indoor mold, and then animals, especially pets.
Allergist Lily Pean with Cleveland Clinic says to first figure out what's causing your symptoms. If you have a Christmas tree, real or artificial, that could be a trigger of which to be aware.
If it's a new tree, there might be some mold related to that. So when people bring that into their homes, that can be a problem. If you have an artificial tree, if it's been stored away, that too can have accumulation of mold and or dust mite allergies.
You can also cope with winter allergies by trying a dehumidifier, cleaning often, washing your pets, using allergy-proof covers on mattresses and pillows, and making sure you have medicine on hand. That includes oral antihistamines, nasal steroid sprays, and nasal antihistamine sprays and eye drops, many of which are available over the counter.
I think we get so busy during the wintertime and around the holidays that we forget to take our medications.
If you've tried anti-allergy medication and you're still having symptoms, it's time to see a doctor.
Well, this week, several parts of the country saw really dense fog, and it can be dangerous. But did you know fog is vital to plants and animals? Theron Zahn explains.
It can take much of the day for the fog to burn off and reveal your sunny day. But did you know that fog is actually an important resource in parts of the world? For the redwood forest in California, the trees there get 30 to 40% of their moisture from fog and something called fog drip. Some insects get most of the moisture they need to survive from fog. And in some parts of the world, people put up things called fog nets to collect the moisture from fog and use it for drinking water. So enjoy the sunshine when it comes, but do know that fog plays an important role.
To see more content like this, be sure you follow us on social media. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. And before we take a short break, we take flight over Florida's Fort Pierce Inlet.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Taking a look at what you can expect across the Midwest today. This area of low pressure is still spinning, but it's more over the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley. Going to continue moving its way to the east. Notice the sunshine across the plains today. Definitely cold out there, but warming up a little bit more tomorrow across the plains. And these light showers still continuing to drift their way east as we go through today, tomorrow, into your Saturday. Quick Clipper system bringing a little bit of snow to northern Minnesota.
Good Thursday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region, and it will be a pretty nice day. Some cloud cover to the north across Oklahoma and Arkansas. Temperatures climbing into the 40s. May even see some flurries across northern Oklahoma. Otherwise, some sunshine down to the south, 50s and 60s for Louisiana into Texas. Overnight, dropping back near freezing for most of us. And as we head into your Friday, mostly sunny skies. Temperatures very seasonal, running from the 40s into the 60s.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Thursday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, the wet weather continues to steer in and out. Pretty typical for this time of year. What's atypical, the temps. Seattle, again, running well into the mid-50s when we should be in the 40s. That's keeping that snow level high in western Washington. Temps, in the meantime, over the Rockies in the 40s. Next weather maker, yet another round of significant rain, especially in the Bay Area as the week goes on. And that's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
Well, high waves and low tides along California's coastline are causing more sea stars to wash up on shore, concerning local officials. Adelmi Ruiz has more.
It's being called the Solstice Sea Star Search. From December 10th through the 27th, there were more sea stars along the coast due to high waves and low tides. The goal is to capture snapshots of as many species of sea stars as possible, while keeping an eye out specifically for sunflower stars. who were hit particularly hard by sea star wasting syndrome.
Sea star wasting syndrome happened because of a multitude of different variables around 2014, where increased water temperature caused sea stars to have less disease tolerance, and thus were able to contract this virus a little more.
You don't have to be a scientist or researcher to be a part of the science community. Pitt says any documentation is something.
Citizen science is super important, and we value all the data that they collect.
If you're looking for more weather content, check out our podcast, Off the Radar. You can find it anywhere you get podcasts. Thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie. Make it a great Thursday. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.